A fast-moving object the size of Manhattan is hurtling towards our solar system, and it will make its closest pass to Earth on December 17th.
For generations, humanity has gazed into the infinite abyss, not just searching for stars or planets, but for something stranger, something impossible. We've hurled our mechanical eyes, Voyager, Hubble, and now the mighty James Webb Space Telescope, into the void to carve through the shadows and unveil the universe's most closely guarded truths. Yet what Webb uncovered may not be a truth at all. It may be a message, and worse still, it might be alive.
A Harvard astrophysicist believes there's a strong likelihood this is a craft of alien origin, and the implications, obviously, for humanity would be profound.
At first, 3I Atlas appeared to be nothing more than a wandering interstellar drifter, a pale stone cast across the emptiness. But it wasn't merely glowing, it was pulsing. Each flash came with unnerving precision, like a heartbeat, a digital fingerprint, a cosmic signature. And then came the revelation, not just a puzzle, but a warning.
Maybe this object was targeting the inner solar system. It had a goal to visit the inner solar system, in which case that the rocky reservoir is irrelevant. And if you look at the trajectory of this object, indeed it's perfectly aligned with the plane of the planets around the sun.
Stay with me, because if what some scientists suspect is true, then we have never been alone, not for a single moment in cosmic history. The James Webb Space Telescope was built to peer farther than any human eye could dream, to witness galaxies forming and stars igniting at the dawn of time itself. But during what should have been a routine sweep of the heavens, Webb locked onto something anomalous, something moving with intent. A pinpoint of light flickered where only darkness should exist. That was 3I Atlas, the third confirmed interstellar object to trespass through our solar system. Yet, unlike Oumuamua or Borisov, this one wasn't silent. It was screaming across the void. At first, astronomers dismissed it as reflection, a comet glazed in ice. But Webb's powerful infrared eyes uncovered something far stranger than anyone imagined. This wasn't sunlight bouncing off a frozen surface. It was heat being generated from within. A faint, centralized glow pulsed rhythmically, a thermal heartbeat rising from its core. That is not the fingerprint of stone or ice. That is the mark of activity. As NASA and ESA teams dug into the data, one detail repeated like a drumbeat, a steady thermal pulse, perfectly timed, perfectly measured. 3I Atlas wasn't behaving like any natural object. Comets release warmth chaotically as gases burst free in wild, unpredictable jets. But this was deliberate, engineered, mechanical, cross-checking the signal against the catalog of cosmic engines. Pulsars, neutron stars, quasars yielded nothing. Then came the light analysis. The photometric data shocked everyone. The spectrum was not scattered like starlight through dust. It was concentrated. Narrow beams of energy, exact wavelengths, the kind humanity itself uses for communication, the kind we've built into satellites, spacecraft, and high-powered lasers. And that's when the murmurs began to ripple through the control rooms. This wasn't just a signal aimed at us, it was one we had stumbled into like a transmission mid-broadcast. Data scientists pushed the readings through Fourier transforms, hunting for order in the apparent static. And there it was, a pattern, hidden in the noise. The rhythm was too exact, the structure too deliberate, a whisper wrapped in chaos, not natural, not random. Some began to suspect the unthinkable, a beacon pulsing in the dark. Some scientists argued it wasn't a beacon at all. It was telemetry, a data stream being sent somewhere else. But the most unsettling part? The pulse never faltered. From the first instant Webb captured it, the signal held perfectly steady, unchanged by cosmic radiation, orbital drift, or even time itself. This was no fading star, no wandering planet. It was something that demanded to be heard, or perhaps something that was listening. Then, without warning, the cosmos cracked open. 3I Atlas suddenly erupted, its brilliance spiking by 40% in under 2 minutes. No known natural body flares with such flawless symmetry. Instruments showed its entire mass heating uniformly, as if a colossal engine had just roared to life. And then came the impossible twist. Its path shifted. At first, just fractions of a degree. But soon the adjustment sharpened with undeniable intent. 3I Atlas was no longer drifting on a passive gravitational arc. It was steering, deliberately, sliding inward along the plane of the inner planets, a hair's breadth inside Earth's orbital track, a maneuver so precise, so alien in its elegance, it shattered all doubt. Something within 3I Atlas had awakened. Something was moving it. Alarmed, a team at the European Southern Observatory ran deeper analysis, applying spectral decomposition algorithms usually reserved for sniffing out biosignatures on exoplanets. What they extracted from the emissions of this object defied every expectation and hinted that what they were chasing wasn't just machinery, but perhaps something stranger still. Hidden within the energy stream were strange fluctuations, patterns that echoed biological rhythms. Not DNA, not proteins, but something more primal. Resonance frequencies eerily consistent with cellular behavior. In other words, the light radiating from 3I Atlas wasn't just raw energy. It shimmered with oscillations that looked disturbingly like living tissue. This was no asteroid accidentally playing tricks. This was light itself encoded with the signature of life, pulsing like an organism, and the implications beyond comprehension. If the object was even partly biological, two possibilities remained, neither comforting. Either it was alive, or it was carrying something that was. Then, just as wonder gave way to dread, everything shifted again. Its power levels, if that's what they were, collapsed. Thermal readings dropped flat, emissions dimmed, spectral pulses weakened. Yet the object never slowed, never strayed from its path. With chilling precision, it pressed forward, silent as a predator in the dark. Some scientists whispered it had gone into stealth, its steady beat like a living heart, pausing mid-throb, as though holding its breath. But why? Was it hiding from us? Or worse, was it reacting to us? A darker idea took hold in the community. What if humanity wasn't the first to spot it? What if this was a defensive state, an ancient protocol that activates whenever a civilization comes too close to unraveling its nature? Whatever the reason, its sudden quiet didn't soothe anyone's nerves. In fact, it only deepened the fear. It terrified them more because a silent, cold, invisible probe is far more dangerous than one that makes noise. Then, something happened much closer to home. Monitors over the South Atlantic anomaly, Earth's weakest magnetic patch, began logging ripples, not from solar flares or gamma bursts, but localized electromagnetic pulses that matched 3I Atlas's tiny trajectory adjustments. As the object pushed through the outer heliosphere, Earth answered back. Subtle shifts in our magnetosphere echoed the interstellar pulses, and physicists scrambled for explanations. No comet or asteroid has ever yanked our magnetic envelope from that distance. No known natural body should synchronize with a planet's field so cleanly. The implication was chilling. Something out there had a direct line to our world. The only sober conclusion grew louder. We are connected. 3I Atlas's emissions were influencing Earth, and perhaps deliberately communicating with it. Independent researchers, dismissed at first as fringe, offered a bold hypothesis. 3I Atlas was not merely a craft or a probe, but a consciously designed intelligence. Not a machine piloted by something, not a drone deployed by someone, but the entity itself. They suggested consciousness could arise not in carbon and neurons, but in plasma electromagnetic fields and engineered matter. If true, this would rewrite everything. 3I Atlas isn't a visitor, it's a cosmic ambassador, a new kind of life form we've never imagined. Imagine a life that drifts between stars, hiding in comets and waiting patiently until a civilization grows curious enough to spot it. And that's exactly what we did. Global observatories snapped into alignment and tracked 3I Atlas with surgical precision, revealing a measurement none of us expected. Gravitational lensing around the object refused to match its apparent mass. The space it bent implied either something far denser than the visible body or a technology actively warping gravity itself. Every standard model astrophysicists used to predict motion and interaction between celestial bodies was suddenly inadequate. The only natural analog we know are black holes. But 3I Atlas is nothing like a collapsed star. It's smaller than a moon, not massive enough to form an event horizon. So how was it curving space-time around itself? Some theorists dared to suggest localized gravity control, not for thrust, but as an exquisitely precise navigation system, like a deep-sea vessel adjusting ballast to slip silently through an alien ocean. And then came the clincher. A fragment broke away and began tumbling behind 3I Atlas. Initially waved off as ordinary debris, the James Webb Space Telescope turned its instruments on the shard, and the structural analysis stunned everyone. Its internal geometry showed deliberate engineering, densities and patterns inconsistent with natural fracturing. The data left the team frozen. This shard was a breadcrumb, pointing to capabilities that rewrite what we consider possible. This fragment wasn't ragged or organic, it was mathematically immaculate. Smooth, flat planes, razor-right angles, perfect symmetry, the kind of geometry only an intelligent hand could fabricate. And the chill that followed was immediate. The shard gave off no measurable temperature, completely inert, radiation-free, cold as void. It drank photons but returned nothing. It felt like an invisible eye, observing without revealing its own face. Its composition baffled lab teams. Alloys with atomic fingerprints unseen on Earth or in any known meteorite sample. This was not space dust. It was a component, a manufactured part of a larger whole. Engineers and astronomers at the Monarchy Observatory in Hawaii began to watch 3I Atlas's spin closely. Like many elongated bodies, it rotated, but the motion was not random. The rotation contained a message. Timed intervals fell into uncanny patterns, ticks aligning with pi, the golden ratio, and sequences of prime numbers. Mathematical constants and constructs used the universe over. The spin itself acted like a broadcast, a language written in motion, cosmic Morse waiting for translation. Some now argue the rotation isn't passive momentum at all, but an intentional ritual of recognition, repeating a visual phrase over and over, designed to be seen rather than heard. And it begs the ultimate question: are we merely witnesses or the intended recipients? A final, deep spectrometry sweep from Webb, run through life detection algorithms, flipped even the hardest skeptics into believers. The readings showed organic signatures, not stable carbon chains or fossilized proteins, but flickering spectral patterns consistent with replicating structures. They weren't whole organisms, but precursors, scaffolds of biological components, synthetic or hybrid, embedded in the skin of 3I Atlas. Two stark possibilities emerged. First, biological camouflage. Engineered mimicry designed to fool crude sensors into classifying 3I Atlas as natural, a trick seen across life on Earth. Yet the second theory is darker. What if this residue is deliberate seeding? What if 3I Atlas is not just a probe, but a messenger of life? A modern panspermia delivery system carrying extraterrestrial genetic code to propagate elsewhere. As it approached the inner edge of our system, the implication felt like a stellar reveal. Life being spread, not merely observed. Meanwhile, magnetometers on Earth and aboard deep probes picked up a synchronous oscillation, not chaotic like a solar storm, but precise rhythmic shifts in local magnetic fields. The pulses arrived in deliberate triplets, a metronome with intent, and crucially, they did not fade with distance. The patterns suggested coordination, communication, or choreography from something operating at galactic scales. In fact, the amplitude of those magnetic ripples rose as 3I Atlas drew nearer, hinting that the object wasn't merely emitting fields, it was interacting with ours, almost as if it were scanning or syncing to the solar system's magnetic layout. The pattern matched nothing known in nature. Some engineers compared it to a handshake protocol, like a spacecraft negotiating a secure link. But with what? The Sun? Earth? Or something hiding between the planets we haven't yet discovered? Communication teams decided to try a reply. Using deep space network antennas, they beamed carefully encoded radio pulses toward 3I Atlas, built from prime number sequences, binary patterns, and artificial tones that echoed musical intervals. An attempt to talk in math and music, universal tongues many had hoped would bridge cosmic gaps. At first, there was nothing. No echo, no bounce, not a whisper back. Then, 1 hour after the last transmission, 3I Atlas adjusted its spin ever so subtly, too small for most sensors to flag, but clear to the team that had sent the signal. Some treated the motion as acknowledgement, a nod in the dark. Others read it as dismissal. Either way, it wasn't random. Behavior like that reads more like agency than accident. An object that knows it was addressed and chooses silence. In intelligence terms, this is conscious non-communication, a deliberate psychological tactic where silence becomes the message itself. And in the endless vacuum of space, silence can be terrifying. Searching for context, researchers combed through decades of astronomical archives and uncovered a chilling breadcrumb trail. Subtle disturbances appeared in infrared sky surveys from 1987, 1998, and 2013, each along the same vector 3I Atlas now travels. The implications shook the field. It may have brushed near our system before. Even more unsettling, each of those appearances coincided with sudden spikes in unexplained radio bursts and gravitational wave anomalies, which forces the haunting question, has 3I Atlas been here before, and is it looping? If so, then it isn't just a one-time visitor. It's a recurring presence, possibly observing planetary development, human progress, or something even more ancient woven into Earth's own timeline. And then came the revelation that rattled the community further. Updated trajectory models showed 3I Atlas isn't aimed at Earth nor at the Sun. Instead, its curve pulls it past two of the solar system's most tantalizing moons. First, a close sweep by Jupiter's Europa, with its vast hidden ocean beneath a crust of ice. Then, an arc that crosses near Saturn's Enceladus, another frozen world with geysers spewing water vapor into space. Both moons are prime candidates for alien life, which leaves us asking, is 3I Atlas passing by them by chance, or is it choosing to rendezvous with worlds where life may already be waiting? A new theory took shape. What if Earth isn't the primary destination at all? What if this entity, whatever it truly is, has been visiting ocean worlds to seed or awaken life trapped beneath ice crusts? We assumed we were special, the focal point of cosmic attention. But what if 3I Atlas is obsessed with what's hidden under the surfaces of moons we've barely explored? As deep space transmissions faded into static and the object traced its silent arc, one hypothesis gained traction and dread. Perhaps 3I Atlas isn't broadcasting because it doesn't need to speak, it's listening. Picture a probe so old and so advanced that its mission is pure observation. No interference, no signal, just relentless, patient surveillance. No lasers, no landers, no overt contact, only passive absorption of everything it drifts past. Atmospheric resonances, electromagnetic structures, our own technology emissions, even biological rhythms from Earth, collected, cataloged, analyzed. Some researchers now argue its silence isn't a glitch or a cloak, but the design itself, the perfect spy. Stealth incarnate, invisible and unreadable. Until now, this flips the story. If 3I Atlas has returned before, this may not be its first report. It could already have relayed its findings elsewhere. Then the most unsettling discovery arrived. A Caltech team cross-checked the organic spectral signatures, not against exotic alien templates, but against Earth-based genomic markers, and what they found sent chills through the labs. What they found wasn't an exact match, but it wasn't entirely alien either. Hidden in the spectra were structural echoes, repeating nucleotide-like arrangements, patterns that hinted at the motifs we see in viruses, retrotransposons, and even ancient non-coding DNA sequences, fragments that suggested more than random chemistry. The tantalizing possibility arose that the biological residue trailing 3I Atlas contains information encoded in a universal genetic dialect, a scaffold so fundamental it could adapt across wildly different planetary environments, whether through slow evolution or deliberate design. Put simply, the object might be carrying life-building instructions, not just spores or cells, but templates, blueprints for generating biology. The implications smash through pure science and pierce questions of origin, purpose, and authorship. If these signatures are intentional, the deeper riddle becomes not only what 3I Atlas is, but who or what engineered and dispatched it. That realization forces a humbling flip. 3I Atlas is no mere visitor soaring through our skies. It's a provocation, a test, a mirror held up to our assumptions and fears. We went out seeking cold light and starfire, and instead found a watcher, a listener, perhaps a messenger, arriving from somewhere, from some time beyond our reckonings. From when and from whom? The James Webb Telescope has handed us data but not answers, because the traces it revealed, organic scaffolds, magnetic choreography, engineered symmetry, do not point to idle nature. they point to intent. And when the universe starts to show deliberate design, it means we are no longer the lone authors of the story we thought we were living. And that's the true chill, isn't it? Something out there has been watching us the whole time. Our radio chatter didn't vanish into silence. It reached something far older and far more patient, and now it has returned. Whether 3I Atlas is a probe, a carrier of probes, or the architect of them, the implication is the same. We have an audience in the cosmic dark. Its quiet is not ignorance, it's deliberate. If it chooses not to answer, what is it waiting for, and who is it waiting for? Drop your theories below, leave a comment and spark the conversation, because right now we might be living the opening chapter of the greatest discovery in human history, a true stellar reveal. If you want every twist in this unfolding saga, like this video, share it with fellow stargazers, and subscribe to Deep Orbit for ongoing coverage. Turn on the bell, spread the word, and keep watching the skies. This story is far from over.